Hello everyone and welcome to another fun tutorial at Roaring Records. Today we're going to talk about a note repeater, and there are several different places that you can find a note repeater in Logic, but the one I'm going to show you today is the one I like the most. So in order to find this particular note repeater, you need to go to Logic Pro, Preferences, and Advanced Tools. Make sure that Show Advanced Tools is checked, and I would go ahead, just for the fun of it, and enable all the advanced tools. I think this is the way to go, and my students seem to be okay with it. It's less picture friendly and more basic graphic interface, but you get a lot more stuff. So we're going to use the Atlanta drum kit today. It's a nice sounding drum kit. We're going to use a snare, kick, and some hi-hats in this. But the first thing I want to do is lay down my snare and hi-hat technique. Or no, correction. I'm going to do bass drum and snare first. And the first thing I'm going to do is make sure I set my tempo to what I want it to be. So I'm going to grab 120 and I'm going to scroll it down till it says 94. This is a good relaxed tempo. I'm also going to make sure that my metronome is on so I can hear the click that my Logic is thinking. That's this. Now, I'm very afraid that that click sound is going to get lost in the track that I'm about to lay down. So I'm going to go into my metronome settings by right-clicking. Let me do that again. There's a right-clicking on that little arrow that points down as you hover over the metronome. And then metronome settings. And I'm going to turn up the tonality and the volume just a little bit. And you're going to hear that now my metronome is a little more distinct. It's a little bit more obvious, especially if you're going to be laying down a drum track. Okay, so I've got my count in on. I'm going to get 4 clicks for nothing, and then my metronome will hit. I'm going to record in some kick drum and snare on the Atlanta kit. Okay, so I'm going to delete that voice recording. Now, here is my kick drum snare line part. I double clicked on it to open it in the piano roll. And as always, one of the big things we need to do is quantize. So that's my quick select. I just click and drag on the keyboard and it automatically selects everything. If you're not, you can press Command A. And then we'll come over here and quantize everything to 16th notes and listen to it, make sure it sounds good. That I can live with. Now, I'm going to duplicate this track using this button right here. This gives me the exact same settings on a separate track. Now, this is where the note repeater comes in. I want to add some dubstep-like hi-hats that might sound something like this. But that's rather tricky to do just by pressing the key repeatedly, especially if you don't have a drum pad and you're just using a MIDI keyboard controller. So here's a cool tip. Now, I'm going to use this little drop-down toolbar up here to open up my main set of toolbars. Now, I want to do a note repeat tool, which brings up this little menu. It normally looks like this to begin with. What I'm going to do is drop down this little arrow right here, make sure that my modulation wheel option is checked, and I'm going to set my minimum note value to 1/4. I don't think my maximum note value needs to be any more than 1/64th note. That's plenty fast, but my minimum, I might want to do quarter notes from time to time. So what is the modulation wheel? Well, that's this little wheel right here. This wheel is not the spring-loaded wheel, but it's the one that's closer to the actual piano keyboard. Where you set it is where it actually stays at. So the mod wheel is a really neat little tool. That's the lovely lunch bell. Yay. This tool will slide up and down. And then you notice over here on the screen that as I slide it up and down, it changes the rate value at which my note repeater is running. So all I'm going to do is now hold my hi-hat down. And as I begin to change the mod wheel, now I get an all new repetition of those notes, and all I had to do was hold the note down. Now that is functioning as part of the tempo tool. That's why it's so important that we turn the tempo to the right thing first to make sure that everything's going to line up. Quantized notes in line with a tempo, and the note repeater works amazing. You have to make sure that this window is still open. You can't close it and use it. So as long as this window is open, the note repeater is running on the track that you select. So I'm going to slide it down, and you're actually going to see it start riding as I record some hi-hats in over this. Here we go. Okay, so there you have it. Now I'm just going to shorten this up so that the two line up. Now you notice down here that it actually wrote in individual notes that are the approximate length of the value that I was telling it to with the mod wheel. And if you don't like one, you can go in and individually delete that individual note. That's a-okay. You just get rid of it. Otherwise, everything's perfectly quantized. There's no need to quantize over this as long as you like the sound of it. So now I'm going to close my note repeater, get it out of the way. Let's listen to our product. And there you have it. That's how we use the note repeater to create some pretty cool hi-hat rolls that are so popular right now in trap music and rap music and house music and all that kind of stuff. You can also use that for any note. It doesn't have to be just a percussion instrument. It will repeat anything. I hope you found this informative. Enjoy the note repeat tool.